Title: AITA for enforcing that my son uses his college fund to pay back his child support. All names are fake. My wife and I have 2 kids. Our oldest is Josh. He just started his 2nd year in college. Full disclosure, I'm not Josh's biological dad, but I'm been married to his mom since he was 8. He's my son in all but blood. Josh has a full ride scholarship at his college. His mom and I are very proud, and he has ambitions for law school after graduation. A few months ago we were contacted by Tina, a girl who claimed to have had a baby boy with Josh. The baby is a little under 18 months old. Tina said Josh had ghosted her and blocked her on all platforms. She'd been trying to get back in touch with him, but when that didn't work began to look for his parents to contact. She finally found us and begged us to get Josh to talk to her. We were skeptical at first. He said he knew the girl but denied the baby. We insisted on a paternity test, 2 of them, and they were positive. Tina has gone through the courts and now is pushing for back child support for the baby. Josh is panicking. He doesn't have much income or savings other than a college fund his mom and I have been paying into. He wanted to use that money for his first apartment and for law school. My wife wants to help him pay. The payments aren't much now, and we could afford to, but I'm against it. Wife and I agreed that our kids would be responsible for themselves once they moved out. We'd help them if they needed it, but only if it was reasonable. To me, paying his child support for a baby he tried to abandon is unreasonable. He has the money in his fund, he just doesn't want to use it. Josh is afraid of not being able to afford law school without big loans in the future, and to that I say tough, should have thought of that before bringing a child into the world. My wife thinks I'm unfairly punishing him, and paying the support now would be investing in both the baby and Josh's future. I have no interest in taking care of an infant again this late in life. I'm fine with being grandpa but not stand-in dad while Josh gets off scot-free. He needs to step up and take care of his kid. Edited to add, I suddenly have a flood of responses to read. I can't find the info posts I meant to reply to, so I will address some questions here. Tina, according to her, tried to get into contact with Josh while she was pregnant. He denied the baby was his and ignored her. They weren't dating. She attends community college, not his university. She has evidence of multiple attempts to contact him both before and after the baby was born. I don't know about protection being used. I'd hope they were careful and that this was just an accident, but I'm not going to ask about all the details of my son's sex life. Title: AITA for not letting my dead friend's parents see their grandson. I, 31F, was best friends with Alexis, deceased 3 months ago. 31F, we had been friends since we were 9/10. Alexis was a single mom of 2, a daughter who was born deaf and is now 11 and a son who is 6. Alexis never had anything nice to say about her parents. She was kicked out of home at 16 and ended up living with my family because, as her dad said to mine, she's old enough to sort her own shit out, and that she was a waste of space. She ended up going no contact with her parents after that. About 4 years ago her parents reached out to rekindle a relationship and she agreed to let them meet her and her kids. The rekindled relationship only lasted for a month because her parents were rude towards her daughter, calling her an R slur and saying she would have been better off born dead. They also showed clear favoritism towards her son and would buy him expensive gifts and ignore her daughter. Alexis got sick of their behavior, gave them 3 warnings and then went no contact again. About 2 years ago Alexis was diagnosed with an advanced stage of ovarian cancer. She had an immediate hysterectomy and started chemo, but it had already spread to several other organs and her spine. We sat down and I agreed to take her kids after she passed. They get along great with my daughter, 7, and my stepson, 11, who had learned ASL so he could talk to Alexis's daughter. In her will she explicitly stated that she didn't want her parents to have anything to do with her kids. So now Alexis has passed and both kids moved in with my family. Since the funeral Alexis's parents have repeatedly reached out and asked to see their grandson. I have repeatedly refused. They are proceeding to slander me all over SM and have been hassling my husband and the kids' schools. My husband agrees I am doing the right thing, but some of the other parents are divided and say that I'm being cruel keeping them from their last memory of their daughter. Title: Update. WIBTA if I didn't give my parents a year of public relationship with my fiancé. Link to original. I wish I had a better update. I also wanted to say thank you to those that commented. I got a lot of encouragement and truth. I am seeing a therapist. A few days after the post, I told both my parents that we needed to talk about my fiancé before I moved 10 hours away. They wanted a Zoom call, but I insisted on a phone call because I didn't want to have to communicate with them and be trying to read their facial expressions. The conversation went really badly. I had said I was tired of being expected to just feed them information when they never asked about my life. It was long silences and being told I was avoiding them when I asked them what they wanted to know about my life. Honestly, I really broke down after the conversation. On top of all the stress of moving and the pandemic, I just couldn't take it. My parents were still refusing to acknowledge anything we had talked about. My fiancé was as supportive as you could ask a partner to be during all this, but I was just really struggling. My sleeping schedule completely reversed, in which I was up all night having anxiety attacks and sleeping during the day. At my lowest, I was sitting in my car, eating breakfast, and straight up sobbing. I finally called my dad that morning, where he apologized and promised to do better. We had a really constructive conversation. I just wish he had stuck to it. My parents actually finally met him as we moved. We made a pit stop in my hometown since it was on the way so I could see them and my two best friends before leaving. My dad was polite and friendly. My mom was dead quiet. Moving was stressful as expected, but we're happy and almost settled in. We haven't gotten married yet. With COVID cases on the rise, we've been trying to be extra careful. We plan on just a simple courthouse marriage when we get the chance. This is very much to my parents' dismay since I was raised in a conservative Christian home. Otherwise, my parents have completely reverted to their behavior before my original post. Not talking about it. Not asking about my life. Nothing. They continue to talk about me behind my back, and my dad straight up lied to his sister about how I have a roommate. I'm focusing on my family. I have someone in my life who is genuinely proud of me and interested in my life and happiness. I have a dog and cat, and now a kitten, that I love with my whole entire heart. We have worked and created a life full of unconditional love. I do grieve for a healthy relationship with my parents, but I'm working on recognizing that I can't depend on a change in their behavior for my own well-being. I moved with my lovely family and it grew a bit. I'm learning to cope with the state of things and focus on the love I do have in my life. Title: AITA for trying to force my stepson to move out of his bedroom so my daughter can move in. I have never used this site before, but my daughter uses it pretty regularly and suggested that I post here. I have a daughter and a stepson who I will call Carly and Kyle, Carly 15 and Kyle 18. They have never been particularly close. Kyle tends to avoid myself and Carly like the plague. He hasn't bothered ever trying to build a relationship with us. I have been with Kyle's dad since the kids were 10 and 13. Due to some personal troubles which I'll not go into detail about, Kyle stays with his dad, though his mother will visit fairly regularly and they are in constant contact. She, of course, believes me to be the asshole in this situation. Kyle has stayed in the attic since I knew him. His parents had the attic converted into a proper bedroom for him when he was around 9 or 10. It is an absolutely stunning room. Plenty of space, nice furniture, and it is currently inhabited by several dressmaking dummies as he is studying fashion at university. Lately, Carly has asked me if she can stay with me full-time. She and her dad are just not getting on and she'd prefer living with me. Her dad is absolutely fine with this as he was never really good with her in the first place. This means that the majority of Carly's things will be at our place. She has a lot more things than Kyle and would most likely need more space. That's why I thought it'd be a better idea to have Kyle move into Carly's slightly smaller bedroom downstairs and Carly can move into the attic bedroom. I even offered to pay for whatever Kyle wants for his new bedroom, regarding wallpaper, paint, posters, etc. As I know it is a bit of a change for him. Kyle is not a fan of the idea and has been complaining about how he needs the space to work on his uni projects. I told him that he is more than welcome to use the dining room as we rarely ever use it and we can clean out one of the storage cupboards to store the dummies in. Kyle's partner is also not a fan of this, though I am almost 100% sure that this is just because in the attic bedroom, they can do what teenagers do without interruption. I think that Kyle is being a bit overdramatic about this, as I'm not kicking him out into the street, just into a smaller bedroom, which I have offered to decorate for him. His father is not completely sold on the idea but is slowly coming around. He also thinks that Kyle is being a bit dramatic regarding the room situation. Kyle's mother and girlfriend and of course Kyle himself, all think that I'm being an asshole. Am I the asshole? Edit, the people who are bringing up Kyle paying rent. He pays us £100 dig money per month. He wanted to start paying rent to help his dad out, we did not force him and we will be expecting Carly to start paying rent when she's old enough to, so that Kyle is not singled out. Yes, Kyle's dad did cheat on his ex with me. His ex-wife was in a bad place and it put a lot of stress on Kyle's dad. I had not long divorced my husband, Carly's dad, and was in a bad place. We got drunk and did something stupid. Neither of us intended for it to turn into anything more. But it did. I regret my comment about how Kyle's mum should have got her shit together. I was a bit stressed when I wrote that. Lastly, regarding the absurd claims that I am biphobic, homophobic. I am not. My brother is a gay man and one of my best friends is a bisexual gentleman. Kyle's relationship up until this point have barely made it past 2 months. He sleeps around when he's not in a relationship with someone, thankfully not in the house, as that can be dangerous. I do not want Carly thinking this behavior is okay, as I know how dangerous it can be. Kyle is not my son, he has made that abundantly clear, but I have provided him with condoms in the past to make sure he stays safe. I just don't want Carly to start acting like him. Finally, you'll all be very glad to know that I'm not pushing the subject any further. Kyle can keep his room.